do think all art springs out from an invitation, real or imaginary, some kind of an engaging with something. I do like when the museum director from Buchenwald asked me to come and do a project around the objects, because those objects were actually found in where they dumped the dumping place. So he was talking, how can garbage come to a museum? So it's a wonderful question, I thought.
Und die ersten Debatten gingen auch darum, Müll gehört doch gar nicht ins Museum.
This work in Menschendingen, it is really shown that in a concentration camp, people will defy and resist by creating a little mirror in a concentration camp. That mirrors were forbidden. And so they would do little mirrors and gather together once a month to look at how they look. Or they will create a comb, even if they are shaved, but they just want to have a comb, even if they did it from a little ruler that was, you can die, they can kill you because you destroyed the ruler. So there is this kind of game creation, defying borders, inventing moments that you'll never leave behind.
Die Aura tritt hinzu, ganz im Benjaminschen Sinne. Die Aura ist auch sehr stark in dem Punkt, dass sie etwas zeitlich Entferntes auf einmal dinglich ganz nahe rückt und damit Zeit ins Beben bringt, Zeit ins Shiften bringt, auch gewissermaßen eine Brücke durch die Zeit und gegen die Zeit schlägt.
I thought that it's such a precious, it's such a wonderful way to get us closer to them and to make them the work of art. So I finally didn't show any object in the exhibition. I just showed the 5 videos. And then from the videos I took out the moments where the hands and the object are together, and I did little diptychs that you can see around. Yeah, with Peter Weiss it was interesting because when I read what he said, when he was a spectator in the trials of Auschwitz in Frankfurt, he didn't use one word of himself. So for a writer to say, I don't use my words, I will just take them as they are. They're sufficient for me. That's something fundamental for me. So the piece is performed. It's not only like a reading, but the reading had to have the complicity of everybody. And so it was pretty magical when it happened, because it was such a fragile situation. Because some people said, no, I don't want to read it. And so we needed other people to come in. So it was, logistically, it was pretty interesting to put it in place, but it worked. And actually, after the performance, the people didn't get up. And they didn't applaud either, because it was this kind of moment of freeze. And they said, we want to talk to you, we need to talk now. So we sat for 2 hours and talked to them. And they were so taken because they had to talk, and the light stayed on. Those kind of moments are moments that are for me most important in the work, because they are this active memory that I think the history of Europe is actually relying on. And this is when we did the Hamburg monument, it was like saying a monument cannot fight against fascism. It's ourselves that have to do that. So the monument disappeared. It was hard on the people of the city that they thought 500,000 Deutschmark just went down the drain. And that was very hard to convince that your own memory and your own participation is worth more. It was not easy. Because they thought, and they were right, that the monument is not beautiful. It doesn't have the name of the victims, and it disappears slowly. That was a problem for the first 2-3 years, and when the wall in Berlin disappeared, the situation started to open up to understand that if something disappears, it's not a negative aesthetical thing, that if something disappears, it can also liberate the situation. In the Sami language, there doesn't exist the word war. And the Swedish people are not performing work for 200 years, and I thought this is extraordinary. Maybe they inspired each other, because I do believe that two people living in one place can inspire each other and do inspire each other, and we never know if they did or not, and it will be interesting to check it out. And the work started like that. Then I, with two other researchers, we went and looked through a lot of speeches and newspapers to see if the Sami and the Swedish people have the same in common interests. And I took and I made 60 little quotes, and I read it to Åsa. And I filmed her reaction. And after that we flew to Karesuando, where she was born, in the north of Sweden. Meanwhile, I edited her, what she told me in Stockholm. And I let her listen to what she told me, and I filmed her for 40 minutes without editing, without stopping. And this is what we see, her talking in Stockholm and her listening in the north of Sweden, in Lapland. It's very strange to listen oneself. We do it automatically all the time when we speak. It resonates in us, so it's always a question, what captures it? With Åsa, it was the same. She said, I told you all these unbelievable personal things. I said, yeah, I didn't ask you personal things, you know, but this is what I think memory and history is about. It is personal things. It is about what resonates from us is fragments of words that will meet other fragments that are personal. Because it's the experience, and then she says it, and she said it beautifully. She talks about experience. This is what the lab people have together, even if they speak 4 different languages, is the experience. And it's true, this is what communities have. And the communities can be dispersed, but they have the same experience. And she told this wonderful story that Roncière takes up in his text, and I thought that is a wonderful story, that her father was actually robbed systematically by the Swedish postman that had to deliver the checks from the government, like some kind of allowance that they would get. And he systematically took it and